Good morning, Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Thursday, April 26th. And yesterday I sent out a note saying you can be bullish on stocks, and we got some follow through. That was yesterday morning. We got some follow through, which was good. So what we're seeing here is so far successful lows, and I'm just going to zoom into this recent price action. We've seen successful test of the low 1350s. We saw that Monday, and we successfully bounced off those levels yesterday, which we were in the middle of this range. That's when I sent out the note, you can be bullish of stocks, and then we continue to push higher. So the point is now, where is this market trying to go, and how good of a job is it doing getting there? And if we were expecting this market to go lower, we would have seen the S&P roll over and make a lower high, or maybe even Monday breach that 1352 level. It didn't, and it reversed, and then Apple came out with earnings, which on a broad stance, earnings have been pretty good. Now you have some key misses from Caterpillar, which was, that's basically how people correlate the China growth story. But, generally speaking, that's whether that's right or wrong, that's what happens. And the fact that they missed puts a little bit of concern, or maybe emphasis on the fact that, China's economy wasn't what it was basically earlier in this decade, throughout, I shouldn't say this decade, I should say the prior decade. But the point is, you just have to trade the price action. And Bernanke and company came out yesterday saying that they're basically going to be the backstop for the market, so you don't have to worry if things get bad. They will do QE, and if things continue to progress, then you're okay. So the market, as long as earnings continue to be okay, this market should have an underlying bid to it. I think that we have the possibility to go test these recent highs, and also potentially make new highs, push up towards 1450 or so in the S&P. I'd be looking. Now my stance is to be a profit taker into strength. With all of the issues over it in Europe, I think there are problems that they're really fundamental issues, and Europe needs to take care of those, and it's going to be a negative impact on the market, if anything, a lack of market participants to the long side, and that's something that you need to be aware of and be careful of, and not get overly excited if the market continues to move higher. Be cautious and realize that we are still, if you look at a 10-year chart of the S&P, we are at the upper end of the range, and every time we've gotten to this upper end, it's been right to be a seller than a buyer. Maybe this time's different, but with all of the uncertainty, it's hard to believe that the market will get past 1500 on the S&P and just continue to move. Now, it could, but that's a lot of good things would have to happen, of course. So let's look at some levels. We're just going to look at the extremes. Let's see. What was it? 4 weeks ago, the point of control, 1393. I'd consider that your ceiling, your ultimate ceiling for right now. Then you look at the most recent price action, and we've had some highs. Let's see, all in the between, let's call it 1390 down to 1386 or so. That's been an area to be a seller, and you can see we breached that a little bit this morning, and we've shot back under it. So maybe we have an opportunity to sell this thing, but we do have what should be some type of support here. Just watch Globex lows. Globex lows at 1381. If we go below that, we could have some more downside, perhaps revisit the mid 1370s. And, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, just the fact that we're still kind of in this range. Really, just kind of be careful, be on the lookout. Gonna look at a few other names. Gold, coming up into this resistance zone that I've drawn, and you just have to be careful here. But gold had a nice reversal after the Fed's minutes, and it got a low of 1625, and now it's at above 1650, so that's pretty good. Apple after earnings, got as low as 555 and reversed off of those levels, and now we're up above 610 and trading higher. You can see point of control for the last 20 days is up, price is above it, so that's a positive. And we look to see if we can test the 627 to 630 level and kind of go from there. Agrium, name that did fairly well yesterday, name that I added to. Although the volume was pretty light, we are, what you're looking for is a trade to the top end of this range. We're getting close to there. That's where I would start taking profits, just because I don't think the risk reward is there for a potential breakout, though of course it could. There's no real reason to rush in my opinion. Seattle Genetics recommended this a couple days ago. You really had your first opportunity on the 23rd to get a discounted price. From there, from those levels, you are up about $1, so about 4% move. Continue to think this thing trades up towards 21, where I'd look to take profits. But this has a short 30 days to cover on the short interest. So if this gets going, you can and then the market's open. You could be in a good situation to make some money off of Seattle Genetics. You do have about a week or so before earnings. Earnings are on the 8th of March. So let's continue. Let's see. I'm just looking at what I've most recently recommended. ABOMed, ABMD, we'll go with that. That's the ticker. Recommended this, I believe, on the 23rd. And it's been powering higher since. You should have decent profits in this. Hopefully you caught on, but we have a little bit of resistance up here around just under 24, where it's trading now. If you see selling pressure come in, go ahead and ring the register on some. But this looks like it can continue going. It looks like a high flyer that's in a short-term base and wants to continue to travel higher. Caterpillar, coming back to the bottom end of the range. Just watch it, as it could be an opportunity. ConocoPhillips, this is actually weaker than I thought it'd be. I don't think it's really necessary to be long a lot of stock here. You can keep a placeholder position though. Chesapeake couldn't break out above this range that I've been talking about, so I don't really think there's anything to do here. I thought it was going to be, a potential cheap shot to the upside, but I ended up, for now, being wrong. Earnings, let's see, May 1st it looks like for the earnings, and so if you do choose to take a position in that, do so wisely. Silver, kind of since yesterday, looks like we made some type of low that you can define your risk. However, we are in a downtrend on that. Already did gold, copper, kind of giving us, we got a lower low, and now we're seeing if we get a lower high. There are two ways to view this. One, a higher low off of these levels, or a lower high after the breakdown here. So you can really view it. It's really dependent on your belief. Regardless, I think you have about 10 cents or less of potential upside on copper, so I don't think it's really, necessary to get all hyped up about it. Southern Copper, this name interests me, and the reason why is because, let me get the daily chart. It pays a 6% dividend over time, and if you like the copper story, a lot of people go to Freeport. Well, Southern Copper is pays a 6.5% dividend or whatever it is, and so you could do a covered calls type strategy where you go out to the front month, maybe the second month, and you go a strike or two up, sell some premium, probably collect. Actually, let's do an example. Okay, Southern Copper trading 31.40. You go to the 32s. Right now, there's nothing on them. Okay, there we go. You go to the 32s. Right now, the spread's pretty wide on them, 55 by 40. So say you get 48 cents for them. You're getting about 1.5% over a course of 22 days. Now earnings are on the second, so there is some premium baked into that. So maybe instead of doing that, maybe you want to go a little longer dated. Go to June, go to the 32s, and pick out the June 32s trading, say 90 cents. Put in a limit for 90 cents, and if you get filled, you're collecting about 3% in 50 days, plus you're getting that dividend, which comes out 53 cents. So you're collecting $1.40, nearly 5% in 50 days just for holding the stock. If you can do that, now obviously it doesn't pay a dividend every 50 days, but if you can collect, say, 2% a month doing this, and you can collect the 6.5% dividend, what you're doing is you're giving yourself to make, say, 30% or so annualized, or more, and that's a pretty good situation to be in, especially on a copper company. Therefore, if the market does start to like copper, and it trades up towards 36, you'll also get some capital gains. So it tends to be a win-win, and those collecting that premium will help be a backstop on Southern Copper. If it breaks below, say 30 with some emphasis, it's probably not right to be long this, but for now it's okay, and I think it's something that you can take advantage of. Natural gas, you're getting some serious short covering here, up at the 50-day, up at the top end of the range. Volume hasn't been that great, but that's not necessarily what it takes to get a short covering rally going. Not necessarily, you're too late if you're jumping on now. Covered it a couple of days ago, and that was the opportunity to get in. I recommended Chesapeake, which wasn't the name, but Devon Energy. If you're looking for something, you place your stop below recent lows, and you kind of go from there. Now earnings come out the second, so you may want to wait till after then, but you're at a pretty low risk opportunity, and maybe it works out. It should, at least for a bounce up towards 70, but you are a little late to the party there. So Euro continues to do fairly well, while the dollar continues to struggle. The dollar broke what I think is support. Now we are at its most recent low, but we've made a lower low. We've made a lower high since then. So I would say stay away from dollars and allocate elsewhere. Australian dollars, look like they have a little bit of potential upside, and if we can get out of this consolidation, you could see a decent move up. So it's kind of uncertain times, and if I had to be anywhere, it would be gold. which actually just got a point of control shift probably this morning or yesterday to 650. It was at 665 or so, so that makes me even more bullish on the metal, and I do think that there's a lot of upside left in gold. So anyways, take care, have a good morning, and talk to you later.